sure my story is similar to many of yours. I became a student at Christopher Columbus High School in the fall of 2001. It was an overcrowded high school with an administration that seemed more focused on having its students arrested by the NYPD officers stationed on campus than actually educating any of us. Violent incidents occurred on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. My classes usually consisted of 35 or more unruly students and one teacher that didn't seem like they wanted to be there, let alone teach us. At first, I felt hopeful that I could still succeed in this environment and was initially doing quite well in my classes. However, that all changed less than 2 months into my first semester when I began cutting classes. At first, I would only cut 1 or 2 classes a week, then 1 or 2 classes a day. It wasn't long before I started missing school for days at a time and only occasionally showing up for my 2 favorite classes, gym and art, and sometimes sticking around for my other favorite, lunch. In the middle of my sophomore year, after accumulating over 300 cuts, I was placed on academic probation, which was supposed to help change my behavior. It didn't. I continued to cut classes and school altogether. There were days I would come to school just to meet up with my friends who were also truants on academic probation, and we would leave from there to travel around the city. I had a solid F average, and of course, I was never promoted. By the end of what was supposed to be my sophomore year, I still had the credits of a freshman, half of which I entered high school with thanks to the AP classes I took in junior high school. In 2003, I was called to my guidance counselor's office and given the unsurprising news that I wasn't being promoted once again, and if I intended on graduating from Columbus, I would have to spend another 3 years there. My only option for leaving high school on time was officially dropping out of school and taking my GED. Ironically, I was furious. I had to drop out of school and attend a GED program, even though I hated that school and never went to class. I knew my truancy would eventually catch up to me, but I was still depressed and upset about the fact that my only option now was getting my GED. I felt like my fate as a loser had been sealed. My guidance counselor gave me a flyer about a new program called CUNY Prep, which was solely for out-of-school youth between the ages of 16 and 18 who still had plans to attend college. And she said she thought it would be a great fit for me. My mom called CUNY Prep that day and scheduled the meeting. I showed up to the CUNY Prep admissions meeting with an attitude, but couldn't help but notice that everything about that place was different from what I experienced at Columbus. I noticed the small class sizes, how the students seemed to be engaged in what they were learning, and how the staff members that I met were welcoming and friendly. That made me feel a lot better about my situation. My experience at CUNY Prep was wonderful from pretty much day one. CUNY Prep helped me get my very first job, where I worked as a caretaker in the Aquamarine Science Department at Brooklyn College. Not only was that my first job, but my first time on a college campus. I got a chance to interact with college students and professors for the first time, which was really encouraging. To this day, that was still one of my best jobs and definitely the most memorable. The staff at CUNY Prep was kind, attentive, and caring. If it seemed like you were having a bad day, you could always count on someone to ask why and actually take the time to listen to your response, which made my bad days just a little bit better. I'm sure you can all attest to the great teaching and support staff at CUNY Prep and how encouraging and supportive they are. CUNY Prep was the exact opposite of my old high school. My experience there felt like how I imagined high school would be and how high school is really supposed to be. I took and passed the GED with a score of 3,300, which was the highest score for any CUNY Prep student at the time. After graduating from CUNY Prep, I went on to BMCC and began my first semester as a college student in the fall of 2005. My transition to college did not go as smoothly as I had hoped, and I learned rather quickly that college life could be difficult at times. My first semester at BMCC was nothing less than a disaster. I was stuck taking a remedial math course which wasn't worth any college credits and still had a mandatory attendance requirement. I was also unaware that if you stopped attending a class and never formally withdrew from it, it wouldn't simply be dropped from your schedule, but instead you would be given a grade of WU as your final grade, which is equivalent to an F. That first semester, I stopped attending 2 classes without formally withdrawing. I was shocked and saddened when I saw my GPA at the end of the semester. I felt defeated, embarrassed, and almost like giving up. But did I? No. I regrouped and promised myself that I was going to do better the following semester. Unfortunately, I didn't do that much better the next semester because once again I stopped attending one of my classes without withdrawing and received yet another WU. This pattern of negligence on my part continued until I received a letter in the mail 2 semesters later informing me that I had been dismissed from BMCC for having such a low GPA and would have to appeal that decision if I wanted to continue as a student at BMCC. That was the all-time low of my college life. Thankfully, my appeal was granted and I was able to register the following semester, though still on academic probation. That experience was a wake-up call, and it was literally uphill from there. I began to take my classes and time at BMCC seriously. I retook all the classes I had failed in order to boost my GPA and received nothing less than a B in all the other classes I took. I restored my GPA back to an acceptable level and was accepted to Hunter College in 2008. Once I began classes at Hunter, I felt like a seasoned college veteran. I focused on getting the one thing I came there for, my bachelor's degree. I was determined to do well and nothing could distract me. There were minor disappointments and mishaps along the way, but I continued on. This past May, 6.5 years after beginning my first semester in college, I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. There are a couple of things I would like for the graduates to take away from the mistakes and struggles I had as a college student. Some things that I wish I had been told or listened to. First, you need to realize the importance of setting small goals, which will help you reach your bigger goals in the end, which is getting your degree. Secondly, getting a college degree will require what I call the 3 Ds: dedication, discipline, and determination. I was so glad to hear about the new initiatives that CUNY Prep has put in place since I was first a student there, such as the College Transition Academy, that will help you avoid those dreadful remedial courses and help you build the skills that I lacked during my beginning years in college. You also have access to the new College Success Network, which will provide much needed support during your first year of college and beyond. Support I wish I had for those times when I was unsure what to do next or simply needed someone to talk to because I was so overwhelmed by my coursework. Your college experiences will definitely be much easier and smoother than mine, and hopefully you can take something away from the challenges I face. Congratulations, CUNY Prep classes.